What is up, guys? Today we'll be talking about my top 5 favorite older flagship smartphones. This is part 2. Be sure to check out part 1, and I'll have the links to all these phones down below at their cheapest prices. So first is the iPhone 10. So this is one of my favorite phones because of the price, and I just think this has really good specs, especially if you're an iPhone user. So the phone comes right now at around 300 bucks. The refurbished model is the same version I had. It came pretty much brand new. So this phone still has the premium designs, a glass stainless steel frame, and it feels excellent in the hand. I think the design still looks pretty good. And you have an IP67 dust and water resistant design, so if you get it wet, won't break immediately. The screen on here is a Super Retina OLED display. It's HDR10 and it's a 5.8-inch display. So for somebody that wants a compact sort of phone, I guess in 2021, this is kind of compact. It is a 1125 by 2436 resolution with 458 for the PPI. Overall, it's still a really good display. And one of the things I like about this display is that it is OLED, unlike like the iPhone 11 or the SE 2020. This is an actual OLED display, so colors look really good on here. Blacks are very deep. It's just a really nice looking display. Of course, we have our little notch up top that houses the Face ID. And you have the latest version of iOS. I feel like this phone should get at least the next 2 versions, if not 3, of iOS. So I think this phone is still blazing fast with the Apple A11 chip on here, and I had no problems playing games on here, Call of Duty, PUBG. This still was a pretty powerful phone. So of course iPhones do not have any SD card support, but you do have 64 gigs of internal storage and 3 gigs of RAM on here. No headphone jack, but some pretty loud stereo speakers on here as well. Very good bass quality on those. You do have NFC with Apple Pay, and again your Face ID for unlocking your phone. For 300 bucks, I had really no issues with the cameras on here. I think the only thing is I would swap out the telephoto lens for an ultra wide lens, because that's the only thing I was kind of missing here. But it's a dual camera setup, 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, 4K video, 7 megapixel selfie. The phone was fine for just taking pictures. I thought detail was still pretty solid. Pretty good color accuracy, dynamic range, depth of field is really nice with that telephoto lens. And I still think this phone takes pretty smooth and nice looking video as well. So if you want to use this for FaceTime, it still looks excellent. So this phone also has kind of a small battery. The battery life is okay on this phone. It's a 2760 milliamp battery with wireless charging, and you get around 6 hours of screen on time, which is pretty good. So I guess that's a full day's battery life, I guess, if you're a light user, but definitely not anything crazy, but you can get through a day with this phone. So next is the LG G8X. So you can get this or the original G8. The big difference is the screen resolution. That is the thing that I prefer. I prefer the G8 for just a 1440p display, but the G8X offers a lot that I think a lot of people would like. So this phone, 200 bucks refurbished, and then 400 bucks brand new, and you also get that dual screen case, which makes this a multitasking beast. So if you want to do true multitasking on your phone, this is a phone that you can pick up for cheap. So you do have on here a glass and metal design. It still looks really good. It's IP68 dust and water resistant as well, so it won't break immediately. You drop it in a toilet, get it wet. This does have an OLED display at HDR10, 6.4 inches, 1080p, 403 for the PPI. Overall, a pretty sharp display, really vibrant with colors, again, deep blacks, and you have the water drop notch on here and pretty respectable bezels on here. You do have Android 10 with LG skin on here. This phone is expected to get Android 11 this year as well. And you also have the Snapdragon 855 and Adreno 640 on here. This phone is perfectly fine for gaming. It's actually still pretty powerful. It can play pretty much any game on high settings, whether that be PUBG, Fortnite, whatever. I had no issues playing games. And again, you can take advantage of that dual screen multitasking as well and turn it into like a little game pad as well. So you do have micro SD support, 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. Performance wise, I found the phone to be relatively snappy, so I had no issues there. You also have really nice sounding stereo speakers on here, pretty loud and good bass quality. Overall, I was really pleased with that, along with the quad DAC with the 3.5 millimeter jack. So you get a headphone jack with this phone, and it's a quad DAC, so you're gonna get excellent sound quality if you have good pair of headphones. So you do have NFC on here, and the under the display fingerprint sensor, it works fine. It's not as fast as the G8's physical one, but it is very cool to have on your phone, to me at least. But they took away face unlock, which I hate, but you do have it. It works, so it's not a huge issue. So you do have on here pretty good cameras on here. You have a dual camera setup, 12 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide with 4K video, 32 megapixel selfie camera on here that also shoots 4K. And you can see from the photos themselves, they look really good dynamic range, really natural color science with LG. LG has a really good pro mode on here as well. And the ultra wide takes really good photos. The selfie camera is pretty decent as well. Again, a little softer than I would have liked, but still overall some pretty good cameras. Video is solid on here as well. And you also get pretty good battery life, but again, it depends on whether you're using the dual screen case or not. So it's a 4,000 milliamp battery with 21 watt fast charging with wireless charging as well. You can easily get up to 8 hours of screen on time with this phone. Again, by itself, the dual screen case, you probably get less. Next is the iPhone 7. So I've always really liked this phone, and it's come down in price dramatically this year. You can pick one up for around 130 bucks. So this is just a super solid phone, especially for somebody that wants a extremely compact phone, but also a phone that is going to be really cheap. You're not shelling out really any money for this phone, which is awesome. And I think you're getting still an extremely good phone for $130. So you have a aluminum design. It's all aluminum, which I've always loved that. I think the feel of this phone just feels excellent in the hand. It's IP67 dust and water resistant as well, so it can survive getting wet. You do have a 4.7 inch Retina IPS display, 720p plus 32640 ppi. Again, I had no issues with the display. It's a really bright display as well. Colors are pretty vibrant for an IPS display, and again, very compact, so this appeals to people who like smaller phones. The best thing about this phone is that it comes with iOS 14.4, so the latest version of iOS. I'm thinking this phone might get the next version, if not iOS 16, but definitely iOS 15 at least. So you have the Apple A10 chip on here, and the phone is pretty fast. So if you check out my gaming test, you can play games on here just fine. I think it was able to run pretty much everything at pretty high settings except for like Fortnite, so it's not a beast, but you can game on here just fine. No SD card support, 32 gigs of internal storage, 2 gigs of RAM. Again, the phone I found to be fairly snappy. This phone also has some pretty good sounding stereo speakers on here as well, very loud, pretty good bass quality. You also have your Apple Pay on here, which is nice. Your physical fingerprint scanner up front. Touch ID works great, so no issues with that. And you also have on here pretty okay cameras. Again, for this price point, I think they're pretty good, especially the video. I think beats pretty much any phone they're selling these days for 130 bucks. But you have a 12 megapixel standard, and that's it. It's just one single lens. It shoots in 4K, which is nice. 7 megapixel selfie, shoots in 1080p. Again, photos on here are okay. I guess you can sort of see the age with just detail, I guess. But overall, I found the photos to be fine again for this price point. And again, video is pretty exceptional at this price point as well. This phone has a 1960 milliamp battery. So it is a little small, and usually I can squeeze around 4 hours of screen on time with this phone. So not an all day phone, but battery life is just okay. Again, this is a phone that you definitely gonna have to charge up, but overall it's a solid pick. Next is the LG V50. So you can find this phone for around 300 bucks, and this is a very good phone at this price point. Now you can get the Verizon version if you want 5G, if you have 5G available in your area. Otherwise you can get the Sprint version. That is fine, it's the one I have, but You do have on here a full premium design, which is really nice. So it's a glass and metal design. It's IP68 dust and water resistant as well. This phone has a beautiful 6.4 inch POLED display, and it's a 1440p display or 2K display, and it is really sharp with 538 for the PPI. It's just an overall beautiful display color wise. Just extremely sharp, really nice to look at, to watch videos in 1440p. It's just really nice on this phone. So if you want a phone with just a really high quality display, this is a phone to look at. So you do have on here Android 10. This will get the Android 11 update this year. Snapdragon 855 and Adreno 640. Again, this is a phone that'll pretty much blow through any game. I have a gaming test if you want to see that. Whatever, Fortnite, Call of Duty, it will play them on high, no problem. You also have micro SD support, 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM on this phone. And you also have some pretty nice sounding stereo speakers as well, which give off a pretty good bass quality. And you have the quad DAC with the headphone jack as well, which sounds really nice too. This phone also has NFC on board with the physical fingerprint scanner on the back, works very fast, and this phone also has face unlock, which is something that I always appreciate. So you do have on here very good cameras, and you have a triple camera setup, 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. Shoots in 4K, but the unique thing about this phone is it actually has two cameras up front, 8 megapixel standard and then a 5 megapixel wide. So if you're somebody that takes group selfies and stuff like that, or you just like to take wider selfies, then this is a phone that can do that. And you also just have good image processing on this phone, very good natural colors, good detail, depth of field. Video on here super solid as well. Overall, these are just some really great cameras on here. And so you do have a 4,000 milliamp battery with 18 watt fast charging and wireless charging. I never had an issue with getting through the day. It gets around 8 hours of screen on time, and again, that is just with 4G. If you use it on 5G, I'm assuming you might get less great battery life, but overall this is a really good phone for the price. Last on the list is the OnePlus 6T. You can pick this phone up for around 200 bucks, so very cheap right now. And this phone still is a very good phone at this price point. So you have a premium design, it's a glass and aluminum frame on here, and it also has a 6.4 inch optic AMOLED display at 1080p 402 for the PPI. A really nice looking display color wise, very deep blacks. You also get respectable bezels and a water drop notch on here. So overall, I had no issues with the display, really nice. So you do have on here Android 10, and I'm assuming this should get Android 11, but this phone has Oxygen OS, one of my favorite skins. It's just really fast, really clean, and it does have a pretty nice amount of customizations in it. So that is, to me, one of the highlights with any OnePlus phone. So you do have the Snapdragon 845 and the Adreno 630 on here. Still a very capable phone when it comes to speed and gaming performance. So this is a phone that you can definitely do gaming on, no problem. I had zero issues with that. There's a thing with this phone where you don't have any SD card support, which kind of sucks, but they removed the headphone jack with this model as well, which kind of sucks. But you do have on here a under the display fingerprint sensor, which actually is very fast. So that was one thing I appreciated. It's super fast, almost as fast as the 7 Pro, and that works great. NFC is on board for mobile payments, so that's on there too. And this phone is missing a official IP rating as well, so do note that. You have a dual camera setup on here, 16 and 20 megapixels, shoots in 4K, 16 megapixel selfie camera. As you can see from the photos, very good photos on here, really good color, really good depth of field, dynamic range. The colors came out not natural, but it gives you like this sort of like saturated sort of pop colors that people like. So I really like the cameras on here. The front facing camera was pretty good as well, so I had zero issues with the photos from the 6T. I think they've aged really well. So you do have on here a respectable battery life. It's 3,700 milliamps with 20 watt fast charging, and I was able to squeeze around 7 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time with this phone. So definitely a day's use with this phone, no problem. I was able to get through full day with zero issues. So the 6T is still a super solid buy. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.